The Dallas Cowboys are finally conducting what can truly be described as a real coaching search for a new defensive coordinator. For the first time in many years, the organization is not limiting itself to a short, predictable list or relying solely on familiar internal names. Instead, the Cowboys defense search is broad, deliberate, and clearly influenced by a new decision-making approach. This process reflects a shift in philosophy and signals that the team understands the importance of getting this hire right for the future of the NFL defense in Dallas. Before we go any further, if you enjoy in-depth and honest coverage of the Dallas Cowboys, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and comment your thoughts below. Your support helps keep this discussion going and ensures you stay updated on everything related to the Cowboys defensive coordinator search and the broader NFL coaching landscape. The Cowboys began this process by identifying an initial group of candidates that immediately stood out due to their backgrounds and experience. Dante Jones, Jim Leonard, and Ephraim Bandanda were the first names to surface, and from the start, the team made it clear that this list would not be the final one. That statement proved to be accurate, as additional interviews were scheduled shortly after. This willingness to expand the search already sets this process apart from previous years and shows that the organization is actively evaluating multiple directions instead of settling quickly. A clear pattern has emerged among many of the candidates involved in this defensive coordinator search. Several of them bring strong college background experience and have spent significant time coaching in the secondary. Dante Jones, currently working as a defensive passing game coordinator, previously served as a defensive coordinator at the college level with a clear emphasis on defensive backs. Ephraim Bandanda follows a similar path, combining college defensive coordinator experience with a strong focus on the secondary. This emphasis on secondary coaching reflects a modern approach to NFL defense, prioritizing coverage, versatility, and adaptability. Another name added to the list is Aaron White-Cotton, the current defensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys. While he is respected within league circles and could remain on staff depending on the preferences of the new defensive coordinator, his inclusion in the interview process feels more like a professional courtesy than a serious indication of promotion. From a logical standpoint, it is difficult to justify elevating a defensive line coach from one of the league's most underperforming defenses directly into a coordinator role. Allowing him to interview acknowledges his work and keeps him engaged, but hiring him outright would be widely viewed as underwhelming. Zach Orr also entered the conversation as part of this expanded coaching search. His background includes an injury-shortened playing career and extensive time coaching within the Ravens organization, where he worked in multiple defensive roles before becoming defensive coordinator. Despite his long tenure and familiarity with NFL systems, his recent performance has raised concerns. Among that coaching staff, he appeared to be the weakest link, and there is little indication that his defenses were trending in a positive direction. Even with personal ties to Dallas and familiarity with NFL coaching environments, he is not viewed as a strong fit for leading the Cowboys defense. Jonathan Gannon represents a different profile and is generally viewed more favorably than the other new additions. His career path includes roles in defensive quality control, defensive backs coaching, and eventually serving as a defensive coordinator and head coach. This type of resume aligns closely with what the Cowboys have historically valued when selecting a defensive coordinator. While he would not generate overwhelming excitement, he also would not signal panic. That said, there are legitimate concerns about leadership and late-season performance, as his teams appeared to lose momentum down the stretch, raising questions about sustainability and accountability. One important aspect of this process is that it does not appear rushed. There is a strong expectation that the Cowboys will conduct additional rounds of interviews rather than making an immediate decision. That patience suggests a genuine evaluation rather than a symbolic search. It also reinforces the idea that the organization is preparing backup options if their top target proves difficult to land. Among all candidates, Jim Leonard has clearly emerged as the most popular and respected option within Cowboys circles. Reporting, internal buzz, and fan sentiment all point to Leonard as the leading candidate in this defensive coordinator search. His appeal is rooted not only in results, but also in philosophy, adaptability, and long-term potential within NFL coaching. However, interest alone does not guarantee a successful hire, especially given Leonard's history of turning down opportunities he does not view as the perfect fit. Leonard's career began in college football, where he rose quickly through the ranks and established himself as a defensive leader at a relatively young age. After a brief step away from coaching due to health reasons, he returned and eventually made the transition to the NFL, continuing to earn respect for his football intelligence and disciplined approach. Despite receiving interest year after year, he has consistently chosen stability and alignment over quick advancement, which makes him both highly desirable and difficult to acquire. From a schematic standpoint, Leonard is known for creative and aggressive defensive concepts. His approach includes frequent five-man front looks, the use of simulated pressure to disguise intentions, and a blend of man coverage and match coverage principles that challenge quarterbacks pre-snap and post-snap. These elements reflect a modern NFL defense that prioritizes confusion, flexibility, and controlled aggression rather than reckless blitzing. His defensive philosophy also shows clear influence from his playing days under aggressive defensive minds, and there is a notable professional connection with Brian Schottenheimer. While public praise alone does not confirm anything, the mutual respect between the two adds another layer of intrigue to this coaching search and reinforces why Leonard remains the top name associated with the Cowboys defensive coordinator role. The most encouraging aspect of this entire process is that the Dallas Cowboys are not simply waiting to hand the job to one individual. Even with Jim Leonard viewed as the favorite, the team is continuing its search, evaluating alternatives, and protecting itself against the possibility that their top choice declines. That approach alone represents meaningful progress for an organization that has often struggled with coaching decisions. Continuing the analysis, the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are keeping the process open reinforces the feeling that this coaching search is being treated seriously. The organization understands that, should Jim Leonard not accept the challenge, it is essential to have viable alternatives already evaluated. This avoids hasty decisions and demonstrates a level of planning rarely seen in previous searches for a defensive coordinator. For the evolution of the Cowboys' defense, this care is fundamental. The possibility of the process taking longer is viewed positively. A longer search allows for in-depth interviews, aligning philosophies, and ensuring that the next defensive coordinator is fully aligned with the coaching staff's vision. This is especially important at a time when NFL defense demands flexibility, adaptability, and creativity to face increasingly complex offenses. In addition to the names already interviewed, mentions are emerging of other coaches who fit the profile sought by the Cowboys. The pattern remains clear. Younger coaches with a solid college background and strong experience in secondary coaching. This trend is no coincidence. The focus on coverage, route reading, and defensive versatility directly reflects the direction that professional American football has taken in recent years. The ability to teach match coverage and adapt schemes week to week has become a basic requirement for any modern defensive coordinator. Within this context, names like Jonathan Cooley start to make sense. He perfectly represents this emerging profile, with experience in coordinating the defensive passing game and a solid college education. Although he is not yet a widely known name, His trajectory aligns with what the Cowboys are prioritizing at this point in the coaching search. Conversely, some of the options raised generate little enthusiasm. Older coaches, away from the game for long periods or associated with outdated schemes, don't fit the current reality of the Cowboys' defense. Even when there is professional respect or a positive track record, the lack of recent continuity and adaptation to the current pace of NFL coaching weighs against these possibilities. The search is not for a well-known name, but for someone capable of leading a competitive defense today and in the future. Other coaches mentioned follow the same preferred model of the management. Coaches specializing in defensive backs, with college football experience and recent NFL experience, are on the radar precisely because they offer versatility and growth potential. The presence of coaches with a background in both defensive line and secondary also adds value, as it expands the possibilities for adjustments within the defensive scheme. The central point of this whole process is that the Dallas Cowboys finally seem to understand the structural importance of the defensive coordinator position. It's not just about filling a vacancy, but about defining the team's defensive identity. A coordinator who knows how to strategically use five-man front, intelligently apply simulated pressure, and alternate between zone, man-to-man, and match coverage can completely transform the defensive unit's performance. This search also makes clear the weight of Brian Schottenheimer's influence. His presence is felt not only in the names evaluated, but in the overall philosophy of the search. The alignment between attack, defense, and game vision becomes a criterion as important as resume or reputation. This reinforces the idea that the coaching staff is trying to build something cohesive and not just bring together isolated talents. Regardless of who is chosen, the simple fact that the Cowboys are conducting this process broadly already represents significant progress. The existence of alternative plans, the diversity of profiles evaluated, and the willingness to listen to different ideas show a real commitment to improving the team's NFL defense. If Jim Leonard ends up being hired, expectations will be high, but justified. If another name is chosen, the path to that decision will have been more transparent and well-founded than in previous cycles. In both scenarios, the biggest gain so far is the change in mindset. The Dallas Cowboys are finally treating the selection of their defensive coordinator as a long-term strategic decision. This coaching search isn't perfect, but it's a clear step in the right direction. For a franchise seeking consistency, identity, and defensive evolution, this process could mark the beginning of a new phase for the Cowboys' defense within the modern NFL coaching landscape.